The crystalline arena of Zephyria Prime gleamed under the artificial suns, its transparent walls reflecting the sneers of 1,000 alien spectators. In the VIP section, the Galactic Combat Federation's most prestigious members lounged in their biopods, their various appendages clicking, writhing, and flickering with amusement. A human? The Vorthon ambassador's tentacles curled in what passed for laughter among his species. They actually sent a human to compete in the Apex tournament? Commander Zixtal of the Kree Empire adjusted his 4 eyes to focus on the figure standing alone in the preparation chamber. The being was unremarkable by galactic standards, bipedal, covered in pale skin with only 2 arms and a shocking absence of natural weapons. No claws, no venomous sacs, no electromagnetic discharge organs, just soft flesh and primitive bone. Marcus Chen, Zixtal read from his datapad, his mandibles clicking dismissively. Age 32 standard years. Origin Earth Sol System. Previous combat experience, limited to his homeworld's military conflicts. He paused, his compound eyes glittering with mirth. Against other humans. The arena erupted in a symphony of alien laughter, hisses, chirps, electronic buzzes, and subsonic rumbles that would have liquefied human eardrums. For 3 millennia, the Apex tournament had been the galaxy's premier combat competition, where the finest warriors from 1,000 worlds competed for glory and the right to call their species supreme. No human had ever qualified, much less survived the preliminary rounds. Marcus stood in the preparation chamber methodically checking his equipment. Unlike his opponents who relied on their natural biological advantages, the Krillians with their diamond-hard carapaces, the Nethkari with their phase-shifting abilities, the Gorvans with their ability to manipulate gravity, Marcus wore a simple combat suit of human design. No advanced alien technology, no genetic modifications, just reinforced polymers and basic life support. Attention contestants, the arena's AI announced in perfect galactic standard. Round 1 will commence in 60 seconds. Today's scenario: multi-level urban warfare in a simulated Terran city. Contestants may use any means necessary. Victory conditions: last warrior standing. The spectators leaned forward in anticipation. The first round traditionally eliminated the weakest competitors, usually within minutes. The human wouldn't last 30 seconds against the likes of Varthok the Destroyer, a 9-foot Ergony berserker whose species had conquered 17 star systems, or Silvera, the Nethkari assassin who could become intangible at will. The arena floor shifted and transformed, rising into the complex geometry of a human city. Buildings sprouted from the ground, complete with windows, fire escapes, and narrow alleyways. It was a deliberate insult, forcing the other competitors to fight on humanity's home turf, as if that would somehow level the playing field. Begin! Chaos erupted instantly. Varthok charged through a building's wall as if it were paper, roaring a battle cry that shattered windows. The Krillian twins, Bioketh and Neoketh, scuttled up opposite buildings with their 8 legs, preparing to rain acidic spittle from above. Silvera simply vanished, becoming a barely visible shimmer that could strike from anywhere. And Marcus? Marcus disappeared, not with alien technology or supernatural abilities. He simply used the urban environment exactly as it was designed to be used. While his opponents charged forward or sought high ground, Marcus melted into the shadows between buildings, moving with a practiced silence that came from years of guerrilla warfare on Earth. Where did he go? Muttered Counselor Vexhai, her 6 eyes scanning the arena displays. The thermal sensors aren't picking him up. Irrelevant, dismissed Admiral Korthvar. Once the real fighting begins, his primitive tactics won't. His words were cut short as the first scream echoed through the arena. Bioketh, one of the Krillian twins, crashed from a rooftop to the street below, his armored shell cracked and leaking yellow ichor. The crowd fell silent, watching in confusion as the fallen warrior twitched once and went still. What happened? The question rippled through the VIP section in a dozen languages. On the arena floor, Neoketh chittered frantically, searching for his brother's killer. A shadow moved between the buildings below, too quick to follow, too subtle to track. Then Neoketh shrieked as something struck him from behind. Not a massive blow, but a precise strike that severed the nerve cluster controlling his rear legs. He toppled forward, helpless, and another shadow movement ended his participation permanently. The human was hunting them. Varthok the Destroyer, veteran of 100 battles, felt something he hadn't experienced in decades. unease. His thermal vision showed nothing. His enhanced hearing detected no footsteps. Even his scent-tracking glands, capable of following a trail across continents, found only empty air. It was as if the human had become part of the city itself. Coward. Varthok bellowed, smashing through another wall. Face me honorably. The response came not as words but as action. A small metallic object bounced off the wall beside Varthok's head. A human fragmentation grenade. The Organi warrior's natural durability saved him from the worst of the blast, but the explosion sent him staggering, disoriented, his acute senses overwhelmed by noise and smoke. Through the chaos, a figure emerged, moving with economical precision, striking at joints and nerve clusters that weren't protected by natural armor. Varthok swung his massive fists, each blow capable of pulverizing stone but struck only air. The human fought like flowing water, never where Varthok expected, always hitting where it would hurt most. When the smoke cleared, Varthok the Destroyer lay unconscious in the rubble, brought low not by superior strength but by superior tactics. Silvera, the Nethkari assassin, watched from her phased state with growing respect and concern. She had eliminated the remaining contestants while the human dealt with the others, expecting an easy final confrontation. But this creature fought unlike anything in her experience. Where other species relied on their natural gifts, the human had turned his weaknesses into strengths. She materialized behind Marcus. Her vibro blade aimed at what should have been a killing strike, but Marcus was already moving, having anticipated her attack through some impossibly subtle cue, perhaps the faint displacement of air, or the barely audible hum of her phase shifter. His combat knife met her blade in a shower of sparks, and suddenly they were dancing a lethal ballet through the artificial streets. Silvera had speed, strength, and the ability to become untouchable. Marcus had something else, adaptability. He learned her patterns mid-fight, adjusted his timing with each exchange, turned her own momentum against her. When she phased to avoid his strikes, he was already moving to where she would rematerialize. When she pressed her speed advantage, he used the environment to limit her options. The final exchange lasted only seconds. Silvera lunged forward for what should have been a decisive strike, but Marcus had set a trap, a damaged fire escape that collapsed under her weight, pinning her long enough for his taser to find the gap in her armor. Silence filled the arena, as Marcus stood alone among the defeated champions of a dozen worlds. His breath came in controlled gasps, his simple human equipment was battered but functional, and his eyes held the quiet satisfaction of a job well done. In the VIP section, 1,000 alien minds struggled to process what they had witnessed. The human hadn't won through superior genetics or advanced technology. He had won through intelligence, adaptability, and the kind of tactical thinking that came from being the weakest predator on a world full of stronger ones. Commander Zixtal's 4 eyes blinked in sequence as understanding dawned. They're not the strongest species in their galaxy, he said quietly. They're the survivors. Everything on their world was stronger, faster, or more dangerous than they were, so they learned to think their way out of problems that others would solve with brute force. The arena erupted, not in laughter this time, but in a mixture of appreciation, concern, and newfound respect. The humans had just announced themselves to the galaxy, not as primitives to be dismissed, but as a species that had earned their place among the stars through the most dangerous weapon of all, the ability to adapt and overcome any challenge. Marcus looked up at the crowds, nodded once in acknowledgement, and walked calmly toward the exit. Tomorrow's matches would be even harder, but tonight he had proven that sometimes the most dangerous opponent is the one everyone underestimates.